103.2 Dublin City FM. Each week we have an expert from the world of business sharing their knowledge, insights and tips to help you reduce costs, increase profits and drive efficiencies. If there's a topic that you would like covered, or if you feel you could make a contribution, please email me at yourbusiness@dublincityfm.ie and perhaps we'll be here one day soon having a chat. Today's guest heads up a company that was, believe it or not, finalist in the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Awards 2017, London Financial Times Top 1000 Fastest Growing Companies in Europe in 2017, and winner of the Food and Drink category in the Small Firms Association Business Awards in 2018. I'm delighted to welcome Daithí O'Connor, Managing Director of Revive Active, to You and Your Business. Hiya, Daithí.
Hi, Alec. Thank you.
I'll tell you, Daithí, I'm just looking at these awards already, and there's many an entrepreneur out there envying you before we even get into the interview. But let's just go back a bit. You've come from the world of finance. I think you've cut your teeth in the world of finance for quite a number of years.
Yes, finance and banking were that's my background, and I suppose people wonder, how you ended up with a health food supplement company, and there were a number of people I worked with, Alec, which and they changed career. One trained a winner at the Cheltenham Festival.
All right.
One is the current CEO of Connacht Rugby, and the other stood in Galway West for the Dáil and was elected for Fine Gael. So after banking, there is life after banking. And I do remember the CEO of Benson Hedges Ireland being asked, he didn't smoke. So he said, is there something there? You don't smoke and yet you're the CEO of Benson Hedges. And he said, well, my last job, I was CEO of Pretty Polly, but I didn't wear the tights. It's been a great journey, and it's been an interesting change. I left the banking behind me in 2005. I needed to change, and I went into financial services. I had built up a huge number of contacts, and I had a lot of personal relationships, and I brought them with me. And life was good, and life was easy, and doing everything from mortgages to treasury, and I had the QFA, so I did insurance. And
all right.
In like everybody knows, 2008-9, things started to hit hard, and while the banks were delighted to talk to you at one stage, at that stage they didn't really want to know about brokers or otherwise.
That's true.
And one particular day, a customer of mine came in to the office with an American supplement, and he said, try that. He said, it'll change your life. And there were sort of prophetic words, and I tried, and it certainly got my interest. I felt different. I felt certainly more energy. This particular supplement had L-arginine, which creates nitric oxide, and it had a multivitamin. So I inquired, and he introduced me to a guy with a science degree who introduced me to a consultant from the hospital. And I found that there were a number of people who supported and believed in alternative medicine. And alternative medicine would mean nutritional supplementation, vitamins and minerals. And they were recommending like 15 different products to their patients. And they felt this would help with their recovery. And they also believed in prevention. For me, it was quite obvious that there was a gap in the market to make a product that covered everything.
Wow, that sounds interesting. I mean, I suppose certainly coming from banking and at a time like that when everybody was down on their knees, a product that made you feel better sounds certainly the way to go. It's interesting that you've sort of transitioned across into this, and you've sort of partially told the story. So tell me more about that.
Well, at the time in financial services with regulation and everything else, the choices, I would have had to make choices, and one would have been you kind of moved into looking after people with distressed
mortgages and things.
Yeah, or else I had to give up working for myself and maybe join somebody else because of regulation, and neither of these appealed to me. So I was looking for opportunities, and this opportunity just seemed to land, and then I had to research to see whether this was viable or not.
I mean, there's a great lesson for business people out there that you certainly move from one industry right across into another one, as I've done myself. It's interesting. So the opportunity has presented itself to you. So how did that sort of manifest? Because you obviously had to get involved, and being managing director means, understanding the industry and then bringing a skill set that you have, plus possibly money into that business.
Yeah, I suppose if you look at any accountancy firm and they deal with hundreds and thousands of clients, there's always a P&L and balance sheet, so no matter what industry you're in, you have to deal with personnel, you deal with margins, you deal with marketing and sales. So there are headlines there that transition to every single business. For me, I suppose once I felt that we could make the best product possible. I felt, if you have read the book Jim Collins' Good to Great, it's about so many companies that were Dow Jones companies that survived all the ups and downs.
Sure.
And they all increased year on year. And what they did was they concentrated on something where they could be the best in that particular market. And I felt that we could be the best in our market. We were starting off with one product, which was going to be our flagship product, Revive Active. And bringing that to market was the thing, and investing the money. So there were a couple of things that I had to face.
Sure.
I was going to be the MD and in charge of strategy. But as well as that, the transition, I was putting my reputation on the line as well in bringing this company to market. I also had to write the check. We didn't borrow any money. This was all private funds that went in to start.
Right.
And then everything had to be, you had to look at everything from there. It was your packaging, your production, your marketing, dealing with the Food Safety Authority of Ireland, bringing your route to market and how you were going to get there. And at the time, we were still, every time we put on the radio, every time we put on the TV, it was depressing news. So
Right.
we were in the depths of the recession.
Yeah.
And I was going to bring a brand new product to market.
I'll tell you what, there's nothing like having your own money and your own reputation into a product, but at least what I'm gathering was, and which again is another very valuable lesson for business owners and CEOs out there, is that you had a belief in it and also focused on one instead of trying to produce a portfolio of products instantaneously.
Yes, I suppose bringing one product to market was easier. A portfolio of products would have come later, and the economies of scale would kick in at that stage. But you had to get the brand out there, belief in the brand, trust in the brand, confidence in the brand. And that was the most important thing. Having no money, then you had to be very creative. You had to challenge yourself. You were the one that had to do the radio shows, do the interviews. We use social media, anything that we could to. You could have the best product in the world, but if it's under the table and nobody knows about it,
yeah, you might as well not have it.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite. I think it's quite prophetic, the fact that I see you drinking out of a bottle of Ballygown, and I remember how they started getting themselves out there by placement in all sorts of places. So you've kind of nearly done the same to a certain extent. And
to a certain extent, Jeff Reed, yeah, he was an interesting man, and I remember seeing him on the Late Late Show. So
yes,
that's next then, Alec.
Late Show. That's definitely. Well, I remember they couldn't get those bottles out quick enough across the Gay Burns table and things like that. It was very, very effective for them.
Well, they probably felt, here we are in Ireland where it rains nearly every second day, and he was selling water. Yeah. So
if you can sell water to the Irish, you can sell anything. I think that's fantastic. I suppose it would be remiss of me, because I've spoken to quite a number of our guests on the radio and on this show, and Brexit has proven to be, well, often people are calling it a challenge, but I think a lot of the Irish have looked at this as an opportunity. What's your take on Brexit? Because you're in the food and drinks industry and manufacturing. We can talk about the manufacturing bit in a minute, but just how that all works for you.
definitely a challenge and an opportunity. We were contract manufacturing in Dundalk about 3 years ago, and the operation closed down very quickly.
Just for our listeners' sake, and by the way, if you're just joining us now, you're listening to me, Alec Drew, on 103.2 Dublin City FM, where my studio guest is Daithí O'Connor of Revive Active in Galway. And we're just talking about contract manufacturing. Will you explain just to our listeners what contract manufacturing is, please?
Well, when you start, you're in a startup mode. You're not in a position to be able to set up your own plant. Well, most people aren't, and we weren't.
Sure.
So you could go to contract manufacturers and you could, say, look, this is our product, this is our formulation, and then it needs to be blended. This is the way we want it to come out. So all ours are in foil sachets for to keep. To protect the product in daily amounts.
Sure.
And then they're boxed and palleted and shipped, and you either use a fulfillment company, or in our own case we have our own in-house fulfillment. So our contract manufacturers were a subsidiary of a large Australian company and they were Probiotech in Dundalk. They closed down overnight.
Wow.
We didn't feel that we could go. We didn't feel there was anybody in Ireland that would be able to make the product to the standard that we wanted. So we had to move to Wales. So in 2016, when Brexit happened, we had to think about that seriously because we're shipping our products in from Wales. So we're cross-bordering. We have 1,000 retail outlets in the island of Ireland, and we sell into 50 retail outlets in London, and we sell online all over the world, and particularly in the UK. So we're shipping back out. Right. So we would be crossing customs tariffs in both regions. So we were always looking to bring a manufacturing home, and we wanted to set up our own plant. And this accelerated that because it was sort of gun to the head. We couldn't wait for the politicians to make up their minds. And we were right, because here we are. The gun is to Theresa May's head. It looks like they're going off the cliff on the 29th of March. Last week, Minister Humphreys of Business, Innovation and Enterprise came down to Mullingar to open our new plant, which is a clean room status. And that plant will cover everything in Ireland for us. And our plant over in the UK in Wales will cover everything in the UK. So we'll have two standalone, and we would see the opportunity is that others who are exporting into the UK are now facing customs and tariffs, possibility of customs and tariffs. But at least we've taken that out of the equation. But the anomaly here would be we're in Mullingar and we're supplying Northern Ireland, which is 80 kilometres away, and that may have to be supplied from Wales.
Yeah, well, as you said, we don't know where we are and where this goes off the cliff, but it's an interesting. So obviously what this has done is it's brought your plans forward in terms, obviously manufacturing in Ireland might have been potentially on the cards for you, but this has kind of brought this on to happen quicker, which then has a finance need around that. And so how do you finance? I presume somebody like Enterprise Ireland was involved in helping you here.
Yeah, Enterprise Ireland have been a great help to us from the beginning. We were HPSU, High Potential Startup, and we've just left that now. We're going into the Accelerate programme. So they have to bring us to 20 million. That's where they want to bring us.
Wow, yeah.
And they have supported us. They've given us loans, and they would support us with regard to Mullingar and employees. But we've gone from 2 people to 35 people.
Wow.
And so Enterprise Ireland's main focus is on growth of employment and export. And we're increasing our export as well. And we hope to launch in the US this July. So that would be that's a big one for us. It's a real breakthrough moment.
It's quite interesting there that you're talking about, because Enterprise Ireland have a fantastic network across the globe in terms of support for Irish business who wish to export. And as you said, identifying the creation of jobs plus export. And talk about the challenges around the American market. What I mean, obviously scale is some part of that, but
Yeah, I suppose if you were to compare the UK to the American market, the UK's population is 65 million, the American market 300 million, and in our sector, which is VMS, vitamin, mineral, and dietary supplement, in the UK, it's the sales are 1 billion. So, and that's partly because of the NHS, whereas in the US, it's 30 billion.
Wow.
So it's a massive market in the US. They're very much into their health. When they get a job, they're looking to make sure that they have insurance, personal insurance. That's a huge thing over in the States because the employer pays for it. So for us going into the US, we wouldn't go into large-scale retail. What we will do is we'll go in on a digital basis. And we'll bring in our latest product, which is called Zest Active, aimed at the 20 to 35-year-olds. And we'll go into New York and Boston, and we'll trial it in those cities. But it's very much on a digital basis, and that age group are very much into digital as well. So we're going to establish ourselves first, and then at a later stage, once we have a database, we will talk to nationwide chains and see if we can do a partnership. But Enterprise Ireland have been there for quite a number of years. They have people on the ground, they're very experienced, they're hugely helpful, and they've been a great help to us.
So in terms of when you talk about digital, or you're talking about online sales, is that what we're talking about?
Yes, online sales. It's the easiest for us. It reduces the risk enormously, and it gives us a foothold in a new market. And we're just being clever about it. We're hitting at that age group, which online sales are growing year on year.
All right. And will that be supplied out of your new plant out in Mullingar, or will that come out of Wales, or how does that? you have an opportunity on both sides of this one, I suppose.
We do, but because of customs again, and because of protectionism in the States, we will manufacture in the US, and we will have our own fulfillment company in the US. It makes a lot simpler from FDA approval and everything else. So that will be that's our strategy.
All right. You mentioned something there, FDA approval. I mean, we're led to believe that can be quite onerous. How have you found yourself going through that?
Yeah, it would have been very onerous coming from this side, but being in the States and being in an FDA approved facility, that just takes all that red tape out of it.
So is this like contract manufacturing again?
Correct.
In the States?
Yes.
All right. So while you'll have your own clean room manufacturing here in Ireland,
yes,
and you have contracting in the UK,
yeah,
you also have contracting in the States.
Yeah, we supply into the States at the moment. We've sold online into about 45 different countries. In most cases, they're unsolicited. So we've shipped. Interesting one, say last weekend, was to Ecuador, but we ship to Australia, we ship to the States at the moment, all over Europe and to the UAE. So that'll all come out of Mullingar. But on top of that, we've a number of companies who know that we're setting up in Mullingar, and they want us to do contract manufacturing for them. So we look after ourselves first, but we've some very serious companies that want to come to us. So I'm very confident it'll be a great success.
It just shows you about the agility of Irish business to handle different markets and the opportunities. So, I mean, this conversation started where we were talking about Brexit, and suddenly we find ourselves in the States, So where that's all going to go, I don't know. Just by the way, if you're joining us, you're listening to me, Alec Drew, on 103.2 Dublin City FM, where my studio guest is Daithí O'Connor of Revive Active, and we're having a fantastic conversation. We've just covered Brexit, thank goodness, and the opportunities that presents, and also Revive as a business, and we're talking about contract manufacturing, and also now into the States. So when is that whole business being launched in the States? When is that all taking off?
We're looking at the compliance at the moment, and we have a list of different items that we have to do. So right through our calendar, and our date for launch is mid-July.
Right. Marketing a product like this, I mean, I presume this area of business is quite complex and also has a lot of competitors in it. How have you managed to kind of separate yourself out from the competitors in here?
Yeah, it's very difficult because you can only go on claims which the European Food Safety Authority give you. So, and then there are some fantastic ingredients like coenzyme Q10, which has no claims.
Right.
Japanese have been using it since the 1980s. I mean, it's. I describe it as the Duracell bunny in every cell in your body,
Right.
and it's just amazing. But so the things that we have in our products that we know are hugely beneficial to the consumer, but you can't really get that out there from the claims. So you don't want to be a Me Too product, and you want to. So we have multiple benefits. I think our growth has come from our advocates, our customers, and our retailers, being pharmacies and health food stores, have been hugely supportive, and they carry the story. Like it's billboard stuff. If you've a customer who's telling about the benefits that and how they're feeling, and they're genuine, and they're telling how they're feeling and the benefits that they're getting, and how their energy has increased, or they're sleeping better, or they haven't had a cold in 5 years, or they've been to their doctor and all their vital signs have improved. They're benefits. They're real tangible benefits. And I think that's how it's grown. But we've found it so difficult to try and show, look, this product is different. And this year I bit the bullet, and we've taken on Ogilvy, who are one of the best in marketing in the country. And they're on a retainer with us for the year. And their job is really to get that message out there in one sentence, to try and describe our product, as our different products, as best they can, so that the consumer can better understand what we're offering.
Yeah, so I mean, telling the story, how important that is in business. By the way you're saying it, I'm sorry you haven't brought a box into the studio with you.
Yeah,
it looks like I could do with that myself.
Well,
at the moment.
one of the things I would say is that people are very genuine, and if they don't like something, they'll talk about it. And equally, if they do experience real benefits. So what we did was Trustpilot are one of the people that we work with. So Trustpilot are an independent rating agency. So a lot of the people that take our products leave testimonials and reviews with Trustpilot.
Right.
So they're totally separate to us. They're totally independent, and the Trustpilot talk to the people and make sure that they're all genuine. And our rating on Trustpilot is 9.5 out of 10. So that tells something about the range of products that we offer.
No, it certainly does, and it's great that you've got an independent authority out there verifying what you're saying. I mean, it sounds like a fantastic product, and every success in that. It's always great to have a good Irish story that talks about Brexit and the benefits that brings, the agility of Irish business, the transition from moving from bank to where you are. So 2019, what's the rest of 2019 looking like for you?
Well, we've just launched our new product, Zest Active, and that's going very well. We've sold out our first batch. Second batch, as I'm told, will be here in on Monday, Tuesday. We've got a fantastic reaction to that. The year has started very well. We are going to launch in the US, so that's a huge milestone, landmark for us.
Sure.
We're lucky enough to be back in with the Small Firms Association, which I found very, very good last year, and very educational. And we're back in on the awards ceremony there on the 7th of March. We are obviously getting Mullingar up and running will be very good, and bedding it down. I'm sure it'll have little kinks along the way. But that's a huge year for us alone.
Yes, and my goodness, it's certainly keeping you busy. It's interesting that you would have come out of a world of banking where, I mean, it would have been very busy, but also very, very challenging, particularly towards as we headed into a recession, that you should find yourself moving from a world of maybe stress and strain into a world of new health and vitality. And Revive, I think, is a great name for a product
Yeah.
around that.
Absolutely. And I mean, all our staff are taking the products as well. So we've beauty products, we have joint products, we have our Revive Active, and obviously everybody's energized in our office. But on a serious note, it's very gratifying from our point of view. We get emails, we get telephone calls, we get texts from people telling us of the change in their quality of life. And that's really, if that's our legacy, I mean, I couldn't be prouder of our staff and our company and the products that we produce.
Wow, I can honestly say it's probably one of the best stories I've heard for quite some time. I'm speaking about Revive Active and with Daithí O'Connor. Listen, Daithí, I can't believe the time has gone so quickly. So, I mean, that's really all we've got time for today. A special thanks to our guest, Daithí O'Connor, for coming into the You and Your Business studio today. Thanks also to Pia on sound. Don't forget that you can contact the show by emailing yourbusiness@dublincityfm.ie with your comments and suggestions. The podcast of today's show will be available on dublincityfm.ie. And thank you for your company, and please remember to join me, Alec Drew, again next week at the same time, 12:30, right here on 103.2 Dublin City FM for another edition of You and Your Business.